Hello YouTube and welcome to Project Cars. Well, this game has got a hell of a lot of hype recently through years and years of development, and it has finally arrived. It's taken me a few days to work everything out, and I must be honest, I did start early, but we're going to get straight into it and start by creating our account. So obviously my first name Matthew, and over the line, which is obviously our YouTube account. We're just going to make our account here. We're going to have number 23 because that's how old we are, because we're an old faggot, and our country is obviously the United Kingdom. But obviously a lot of hype, as I said, surrounding this game. A lot of people have been talking about it. I've got a lot of expectations. I really do not want to know what to expect. So when you first enter the game, you get to choose from various different tiers, but the main goal is obviously LMP1, which you can see on the right hand side. So the top row is karting, obviously the likes of Lewis Hamilton, and oh my god, what is that noise? Stop it! Okay, I think I found our first bug. It won't shut up. There we go, we shut it up. The second row is obviously your endurance series, so that goes from Clio Cup, GT5, 4, 3 to endurance series, and then LMP1, and then you've got your prototype series along the bottom. So obviously I love endurance racing. Touring cars are really at my heart, and then you click on whatever team you want. Obviously we're going to stop with the Clio Cup, and then you get to choose from different contracts. Yeah, it's a nice little layout feature of it. It actually gives you a bit of, you know, kind of the sense that you're actually signing up to a team. It feels more real as opposed to just clicking that's the team I get in the seat. Obviously we're going to go for this team. They've got 38 years of racing experience compared to the other one, who kind of just seem a bit rookie like. And then you get a nice intro to tell you about the rules and how it runs.
Welcome to the Clio Cup, a one-make series featuring the Renault Clio. This is a single series sport, and races take place on tracks across the UK. Each round features 2 races. All race finishers will earn points, and bonus points are awarded for the fastest lap time per race. The pit lane is open for repairs and tire changes, but no refueling is allowed during qualifying or races.
So after that, you've obviously we understand what the championship is about now. We know the rules, we know the conditions of how we need to win. So then you get taken to this dashboard, which is pretty much your life at the moment. So we get an overview. If you ever need to go back to the rules or find out what it's about, you can go back here. It tells you how many practice sessions, how many qualifying. So in this one we get 1 practice session, 1 qualifying, and then 2 races. We have to make 1 mandatory pit stop across the 2 races, so it's a bit strange in that sense, and there's obviously the points at the bottom on how it's spread out depending on where you finish. The homepage is quite different compared to most games. I mean, it's got this slight little fan shed down the right hand side, which is pretty cool. We got a few comments there from people who are saying that I'm not really going to make much of an impact. Some people are saying that I'm going to be good and they're looking forward to my performance, and I've noticed it actually changes depending on how well you do. So it's a really good little feature that they've got there. It makes you feel like you've got a few fans, you know, someone's actually following you, and you're getting some support. So I really like that. I mean, you've got some people here just saying, you know, you've got negative comments and positive comments, just like you would do in real life. I think it's kind of going via the older, the Twitter kind of sense of kind of layout thing. I don't actually have a Twitter account, so I don't really know how it works other than hashtags, I guess. But there you go, that's pretty much that. Then you go to the calendar, and it's a real life calendar sense. You've got all these other different championships which are throughout the thing. You can go forward or backwards through the months, like so. There's no real, you know, there's no real thing. Depending on how many things or teams you're signed up to, you can select as many things as you want. Obviously, the more things you're in, the better. So we're going to put our performance at 97. Oh, wait a minute, that's the length, session length. So session length is going to be 100%. We're going to have the AI at 97. If you put on Pro Class, it will automatically default you to about 80% difficulty. But I did a practice session and I was, after 2 laps at Donington, which is our first circuit, as you can see, I was about 1.5 seconds faster. So we are just going to go into our first qualifying session because we've already done practice. We're going to jump straight in. So here we are, we're on the start-up grid. We qualified third overall. We just decided to skip to the race in the end. I think it's the best thing. The first thing, go to fuel, for the love of God. Don't forget it, because it goes in litres instead of laps. Just in case you get confused with L for laps instead of litres, it is indeed litres. Now the fuel load is obviously for the race session. The qualifying fuel load is for qualifying. It's pretty much common sense. If you don't get it, then you shouldn't be here. But we're going to have about 21 litres of fuel. I think that should be enough for the race. The race is 16 laps, I do believe, but we'll double check that and make sure it is 100% correct in just one moment. You have to save it, of course. Another thing that I would recommend is turn the feedback up a lot, to about 90 to 100%, because otherwise the car just, you won't feel anything really. But here's our first race from third place. Obviously you get off to a good start, come down the inside, alongside into first place before we've even reached the first corner, braking early because we don't want to get the line wrong because we are on cold tyres, and we just fall back down to third place. And oh my god, what the hell happened there? But that's now fixed. Just pressing buttons all over the place. I pressed one of the buttons on my steering wheel, which resulted in that happening. But coming down into the first lap now, down the hill, and you've got this nice little sharp right hand corner, fourth gear, just let it swing through, and we got contact at the back of our car there. That wasn't very nice, but they just lost so much speed coming out there into sector 2, and we was able to take second place pretty easily with that move. So now we're up to second place overall. There's 20 cars on the grid at this time, 16 laps of pure flat out racing around Donington Park, and we are doing pretty well at the moment. I mean, obviously it's at 97% difficulty and we're still competitive at the front of the grid, and this is the first time I've even played this game, bar a few practice sessions before actually filming this. So one thing I would also recommend about this game is that you all think about it, please, for the love of God, if you want a challenge, up it. Up the difficulty very high. Pro will put you at default 80%, as I said earlier. That's not fast enough. If you're a person that knows how to set up your cars and you like a good challenge and you feel like you have to fight for every single victory, then you need to up it to at least 99, 98, 99 to 100. You need to just go max or just below it. Otherwise, you're not going to find yourself challenged through the championship, and we're going to go straight around the outside. I mean, look at the speed we've just gained just by carrying the momentum through that corner. That was 0.6 seconds faster than the previous lap, which is obviously isn't surprising because it was the first lap. But as we come down into the second sector now, up the hill, down to third gear and swing it in, we've got 19 litres of fuel left and we've still got 14 laps to go. This is a very tricky corner here. The corner really doesn't like to grip whatsoever. Obviously being in the Clio, we don't really expect much in terms of performance or grip at all. So therefore cornering speeds are going to be quite down to what we're going to be experiencing as your career progresses. But that's obviously just expected, that's common sense. We expect a Renault Clio to corner a lot worse than a GT Aston Martin in GT3 class or GT2 class, for example. But we've now got a bit of a lead ahead of the leaders. I would say that's at least a second. Getting faster on it in terms of our sector times. The way the car handles, the way the engine works is quite nice. I wouldn't compare it as good as iRacing, for example. The only downside to iRacing is, of course, you have to pay the monthly subscription. But if you really are into racing, you love the realism. It's a good simulator, but it's good. By the way, that was a skip to lap 12 because we pretty much just had this race in the bag. So I just decided to fast forward it. We had to save on a lot of fuel, as you see. We've got 7.5 litres left. I did a lot of fuel saving in this race. just because I was so worried that I was not going to be able to finish this race. But there was nothing really interesting other than us taking those first few laps and taking the lead from the other opposition. So I just decided to simply cut out the boring stuff and get straight to the point. So, as I was saying, if you want a game that's realistic, by all means buy Project Cars. It has a good atmosphere to it from what I can tell. I've filmed about maybe 3 or 4 races in the Clio Cup at the moment. As I said, if you do the things that I did suggested, up the force feedback, definitely up the difficulty to max, depending obviously on your driving skill. I'm not the fastest person in the world, but a bit of tweaking in the setup, I can easily challenge these guys. And oh my god, that was a really bad case of oversteer coming into that corner. But it doesn't compare to iRacing. For those of you who don't know what iRacing is, then go check it out. They've got laser scan tracks, amazing physics, tyre model is brilliant. You know, it's the best kind of force feedback and experience you're going to get. However, having said that, this game does immerse you a lot more than iRacing does. Obviously iRacing is just an online community where everyone just turns up and races. Depending on what their drivability is, you have a license, you have to earn it by not crashing and finishing high and score points, etc, etc. Obviously this game is a lot different in that sense because it's focused on a single player campaign and career mode at the same time, as well as multiplayer. With that in mind, it immerses you a lot into the life of a racing driver than iRacing does. iRacing is... I'm going to kill the engineer. This game immerses you a lot more into what a racing driver's life is like. However, iRacing just simply focuses on the racing. So I would suggest you do buy it. If I was to have a choice if to say yes or no if I had to buy it, and right there and then I would say yes, because this is a good racing game. It doesn't have endurance racing, or it does have endurance racing, and it's got a day-night cycle, you know, changeable weather conditions, which you'll see in my next few videos. I had an amazing race at Snetterton, but obviously that's for you to find out next week. Because I'm uploading every Sunday, just like a real race calendar, or I am aiming to. Obviously I am going through a lot of changes in my life at the moment, with a new career coming up, etc. Not a racing one, sadly, but nevertheless. But I will aim to get a video out every Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, every weekend. Let's say every weekend. And therefore it will be on a regular basis, just uploading Project Cars or different racing games. Hopefully I'm just going to try and make a let's play of how we progress through the game, and that way you guys can see what kind of experience it actually gives. Probably I'll be giddying like a little school child at the moment. Obviously, clearly I am winning outright at the moment. I will turn it up to 100% difficulty, there's no question about it. I might just do 99 for Snetterton. Or I did do 99 for Snetterton, rather. I've already raced there. Obviously I'm not going to tell you the result because that's pointless in you watching it if that's the case. But it was a good race, amazing race. It was a lot harder than Donington was. I don't know if it's one of those things, you know, where you have AI games and they go around the track at Donington and they're like 3 seconds off the pace, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? This is ridiculous. And then you got it on max difficulty, and then you go to Silverstone for example and you get absolutely obliterated because they haven't optimised the cars for each track properly. But I was glad to say that yes, Snetterton was a lot harder than Donington. They are slow at Donington, especially in this sector at the moment. They were moving as fast as fucking snails, especially in this corner. In fact, the only reason the car behind me is catching up is because I'm in fuel save mode until the very last lap, where I just give it the full beans because I realised I didn't need to save fuel anymore. However, I think if I did not fuel save, then I would have run out by now. I forgot what I was talking about. It's very easy for me to get sidetracked in racing. Damn it. But nevertheless, it's now lap 16, and unless we do cock up this last corner, we will win. As we come down now into the last chicane for the last time, lap 16 of 16 in P1 in our first ever race at Donington Park. First place goes to our team as we start scrolling across the line, and there's a huge smile on my face, even though this is actually just a talkback through.
Remember this moment, the first race win of your career.
So here's the points. Obviously, we get full points. Hits the results from top 1 to 10. I won't go too much into it this early on. You guys just want to see what the game is like. I'm not really bothered about who won. You already know the result probably, and even if you did know, you probably wouldn't care because their names are irrelevant. But here's a little overview of what happens. Obviously, you go through to the top drivers of that race, and then it will go through to the championship results as per normal games. So here we are, race 2. The one thing we are going to go to do straight away is up the damn fuel. We did not like fuel saving in the last race. Don't forget to save. We're just going to go straight to the race. We're starting from 3rd place in this race. The way it works is the second race takes your second best qualifying time from the qualifying session. So it makes it very interesting, misses up the grid quite a bit. So if you only make one good lap, you're going to be starting at the back. And we almost skipped the start there. That was very naughty of us. We're quite lucky the stewards aren't going to penalise us. I don't think so anyway. As we come down to the first corner, we get swarmed by loads of cars. We're into 4th place. It's not looking good for us. But we come down right down the right hand side because he was going slow on exit because of the white car up ahead. And we now make it back into 3rd position where we started off. It's kind of like deja vu if I'm honest. So both of our times put us in 3rd place for this race, which is quite good to be honest. I was expecting a lot worse given the difficulty that we set it on. But we gain so much ground coming up, and we're going to try and look up the inside, but he's squeezing through. The car is very unstable as we come into the uphill section at the end of sector 2 here. And we just tuck in behind 3rd place once more as we come down into the end of lap 1 of this race. We've got a lot of draft. He's got into a lot of speed because he just carried less speed through the corner. Getting a good run off through that corner is essential for a good speed off down this straight. If you don't do a good corner there, you will lose quite a bit of time. But luckily we had slipstream.
Okay, we've got a little bit of pressure from the guy behind, so maybe time to start covering the inside line.
But we are now coming out on the inside. We've got a bit of slipstream. Looking down, we are going to make a move and slam on the brakes. And oh Jesus Christ! And we're off. We've just taken our 2nd place and we are off the track at the moment, down into 1st corner. We're losing place after place and we got hit in the rear by the Clio. Just couldn't manoeuvre in time. That probably was a bad re-entry from us. But we moved down to P6. So we've just screwed it up for us and the other guy. I feel like such a knob right now. Obviously crashing is the last thing you want to do in racing. It's just ridiculous, it's stupid. If you are one of those guys who like wrecking, then please go play F1 2013 or something, because that always fucking happens. First corner in a multiplayer race in F1 2013 is just carnage. Anyone who has played the game, you'll probably be laughing your head off now because it is so true, and that's why I don't even play it online anymore, because it's just ridiculous. I do consider co-op sometimes, but other than that it's just worthless. But we now make it up to 5th place after making 1 position. Luckily, I don't know how, but we just got a good line out of the 1st sector. It seems to be we seem to be a lot more consistent and a lot faster.
Box now. You must pit for your mandatory change of
So we've got a mandatory pit stop now. I do believe that you have to use the same tyres that you used. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going into the pits now, and I take it the guy's going to come out and okay, the second bug has just been seen. The guy was waving me in about 5 minutes after I already came into the pits. Once again, how hard is it to implement a pit crew and improvise people going up and down? They had it in GTR 2. People who don't know GTR 2, please go back and look at it. These are the same people that made it. The intro music and the theme tune to this game is from GTR 2. It's very similar, if not a bit tweaked. But they had a pit crew in that. we want to see it. It's highly immersive to see loads of guys running around your car, changing all the bolts as fast as they can. It makes the game feel more alive. But again, I understand it's just been released. They may implement it later. However, it would have been nice to have that from the word go. You know, if a game that was made in 2005-6 has it, then why can't these games have it? It really does annoy me. But now we're 19th place after that pit stop, and all the cars are going down the main straight into the last chicane at the moment, so they've got a nice chunky lead of 21 seconds, I do believe, which all the information is down the left hand side. In terms of the information that you get from the game, it's pretty good. You can have several different settings. I will go more in depth with them in my next video next week at Snetterton, and I can show you what kind of information, if you really are nerdy in terms of sim racing, you're going to love it, because there's a lot of information that comes up on screen. It tells you brake temperatures and blah blah blah, but I won't go into that now. That'll be for next week. But we have lost a lot of ground. There's a few cars that are currently in the pits at the moment. That's 18th and 17th place. And we just hit the fastest lap of the race, as per my engineer's comments. That's another nice thing that they've got in the game. That's one thing that makes it feel a bit more immersive, is the engineer will give you nice little comments here and there, just to let you know how you're doing. So if you've got someone that's right up your arse, and riding so close that you can exchange paint, they will let you know, and they'll say, you know, take a defensive line, you know, this guy's really close, take it easy out there, don't make any silly mistakes. And vice versa, if you're chasing someone, they'll be like, oh, you know, give it the beans, or show him a bit of pressure down the inside, try and make him make a mistake. So it's a bit, as again, it's like real life. Engineers always talk to their drivers in races, provided they're not through the most important corner on the track, I hope. And it just adds that bit more immersion, because we all know it happens. You see it in Formula 1, you see it in endurance racing, all these little chat messages that come up on media while the commentators are chatting away, and they're just like, oh, the tyres are cold, or take it easy, blah blah blah. So that's another good feature. But this car is handling very well. I did set it up. It is not a default setup, and we've got some more guys in the pits, of one of which is coming out ahead now. And that's just another fastest lap. Was a 1:17.9. That is blisteringly quick. Considering in qualifying we was doing that with about 4 laps of fuel, I think that's pretty neat. But of course they are on brand new tyres. We don't seem to be having the trouble with fuel like we did in the last race either, which is lovely to see. That was a real burden on my race pace. But nevertheless, we are having fun in our first race in Project Cars at the moment. First impressions are good, as I said before. It's just needs little tweaking here and there with the force feedback, and I would like to see more immersion, but who wouldn't, to be honest? You know, you can't get it all. You've got to be realistic in what you expect from a game that's just been released. Especially with Steam now, we seem to be going through the early alpha phase of games. I don't think I've seen a complete full game in decades now, and it is kind of annoying. But nevertheless, I'm not going to get into a debate about that. We are here to race at Donington, and we're currently in 15th place. We've got 3 more cars that are coming out of the pits, 2 of which are right in front. We are just going to try and take it. I have to just snap the car to the right, because I know he's there. I've got to give him racing room and respect that he's on the same track as I am. That's what racing is about. So we had to snap to the right just to avoid having an accident with him at the moment. But he's going to be on cold tyres. We've got to take it easy through here. Oh, Jesus Christ. And he's down on the right hand side, but he's lost so much momentum, and he's given up the racing line. Obviously the engineer congratulates you on your little moves that you make. But that was an important manoeuvre for us. He was on cold tyres. We couldn't let him get the temperature. We had to get past if we're going to catch this next guy. Obviously we have pitted early, so we may see some tyre degradation. That'll be interesting to see. Where
this guy's all over you, filling the mirrors. Time to cover the the inside line and brake as late as you can.
So tyre degradation is yet to be seen. I have not noticed anything major, but then again, these races aren't exactly very long. It's not as if we're going endurance racing and we have to stay out for an hour or so. So I really can't comment on that. Maybe it has got good tyre degradation. There's obviously a little window on the bottom right where you see just above the fuel mark. You've got a green and 2 blue markers. I take it those are the tyres and the temperatures maybe, or how warm they are. I'm not entirely sure. Only time can tell when we get further up the ladder and our races become more lengthy and more demanding. But as I was saying earlier, this was an important move to take. We're now up to 8th place. We wanted to overtake that guy because now we can focus on this blue Clio at the moment, and we're just skidding all over the place as we come into the second sector here, down the bottom of the hill. If you do get that corner wrong, it goes wrong badly. There's a lot of speed to carry through there, and obviously we know whether we're faster.
Come on, keep at him. You're going to get past him.
But we've just gained so much ground. Look at this. This is amazingly fast, and we are gaining quite a bit. Meanwhile, the car behind has just completely fell off the cliff in terms of pace, and is nowhere near the competitive pace that we are at the moment. So it's a good thing that we did get past, otherwise we would be stuck behind him, which all in all clearly affects our race result. So we've already won one race. I'd like to see how this actually affects the fan chat on the dashboard that I mentioned earlier. They tried doing it in Formula 1, Codemasters in Formula 1 2013. At the end of every single race you'd have like, oh, over the line did this today and he came so and so amount of places, and it was just basically 2 little clips right at the end, which was pretty much the same every single time. You know, it's good the first few times when you first look at it, you think, wow, you know, immersion, there you go. But where's the 2010 interviews? Where's the media attention? Where's the
He's feeling the pressure.
where was the comments that you made affecting your team? Oh god, and we're going sideways. Jesus Christ, that made me shit myself. We just hold that as we come right behind. Look how much ground we've gained. I don't know how the hell we held that. See my arms just actually wiggling away. Obviously we are using a sequential gearbox at the moment because that's what the car uses. I always use what is required in real life, so it's just a brake and gas pedal, I'm afraid, for this one, as technology is heading that way anyway. However, if I do ever have to use the old-fashioned H gearbox and a clutch, I have the ability to do so, and I definitely will, because I love the realism that a game can bring, and it's also a challenge. I mean, that's what people race for, is it not? It's to win, but it's also for the challenge as well. And I don't believe you can really challenge yourself in your simulator unless you do it as realistic as you can. I'd rather win a race sweating my balls off, so to speak, having to use the clutch and pedals and having to use a manual H shifter, rather than letting the computer do all the auto blips and everything else. It's a lot less fun, takes a lot of the experience away. But we just overtook our competitor there. He didn't really put much of the fight. We just overtook at the same place we have been doing for the whole of Donington weekend, and that was allowed to take first or second place even. We're now in P2, so everyone has gone into the pits. It's now lap 9 out of 16. We are halfway through this race, just coming up to over 10 laps. Or until lap 10. We go defensive as you come down into this last corner because I can see him. Because they are better on the brakes than me, slightly. But we have just taken P2, and where is P1 at the moment? I think he may have just pitted. So we're just going to go straight ahead to the next session at the moment. There's not really much else to see, so we're just going to come back when it gets a bit more interesting near the end of the race. I will see you in a moment.
You're leading by 1 second. Try and extend the gap if you can. We need a bit more buffer.
So here we are at 15 out of 16. We've made some amazingly good ground at the moment. Really did not expect this to happen. However, we are leading this second race at Donington Park in P1 out of 20 and lap 15 out of 16. Fuel has worked out fine. We've got 6 litres left. We haven't used any fuel saving techniques whatsoever, and we're still pretty good. So just those few extra litres did help massively. We probably could have gone with a bit less, to be honest. However, we really didn't want to take that risk. We have done some fuel saving just to be on the safe side during the race, since we did those extra few laps. However, we're coming on to the last lap now. This time the second place car has no chance to catch up because we're not fuel saving, we're not trying to run in a conservative mode. We are just running flat out at the moment. We're going a bit wide here, which is a bit different. Maybe we're just trying to relax a bit, knowing that we've got this one in the bag, but that's when mistakes can happen. As we come down into Sector 2 now for the very last time, this is quite an exciting moment. Our first ever 2 races in Project Cars on 97% difficulty with no assists whatsoever, no braking aids, no steering aids, no nothing. And we are doing pretty well here right now. The AI is nowhere to be seen. We are just kind of flying through without any challenge whatsoever. Down into the last corner for the last time, speeding out into 4th gear, coming down on the left hand side to see the crews hanging out which aren't even there. But across the line, in first place in Donington, it's a double win for our first team.
You were the best out there today, first class.
So here are the results. We obviously came first with the Team SRV in second place, which I do believe, no, it was Valor Racing, which was the other team that we did actually get our contract offer from in the very first moments of this video. We're just going to run through the highlights at the moment and have a look at some cinematic views that took place during the race. So here's the start of the second race. These are all footage from the second race itself because it was definitely more interesting. There we have our little fake start and a little puff of dust as we come off the line, and we start to look into the outside of the racing line there. However, we kind of just back off as we come into the first corner. There's a lot of cars coming through, all seem to make it through cleanly, which is a good start, but that little white car just going off that extra tiny bit, just maybe a bit too ferocious at the start of the race. Coming into the last corner now, we've gone ahead a few laps. This was the highlight where we took off this white car that was running in second place just 2 laps into the race. Bit ambitious going down the inside, just a lock up on the brakes, and he turns in and it's just a slam into the inside and both of us just go sliding off. Amazingly, no damage is caused. In real life I think that would have been game over, but luckily for us we was able to rejoin and actually finish the race in 6th. So coming into the pits now, this was a very important part of the race, as everyone knows. Don't know what that little jump was there, little puff of smoke as we come in, and there's the engineer waving me in even despite I'm actually already there. He tells me to turn off the engine while the invisible engineers change my new tyres. There's obviously someone behind me. That's where we was in 19th place, so they had a similar strategy to us. It would be nice to actually maybe follow these guys in the future videos just to see how they compare, because obviously strategy is important in racing. As you just come out the pits there, that is our pit stop done for race 2, and we rejoin in 19th place, and it's pretty much a catch-up game from that point. So we just go full out throttle through the rest of the race, puffs of smoke going all over the place as we test the track limits to the max. It's pretty much full throttle on, head down to try and catch up and make as much ground as we can after the collision we had at the start of the race. More puffs of smoke as we come across the start finish line. You can see all these extra cars. This is the bit where we had to just snap the car to the right to stop making contact. Look how close they get coming through the first corner. Nearly made contact with that car there. At this point obviously we were running further down the grid, however the pit strategy and the overall race results are starting to take form as everyone else starts to head into the pits themselves for a fresh rubber. So we just go around the outside. This was an amazing move. I can't believe I actually pulled it off. There was a lot of understeer from this car during that turn. However, we just amazingly was able to save it. From that point onwards, it was down into behind the blue car, who was actually running in second place or second place at this time, and we just needed to make that move. The car went sideways as it came through that corner, but this is the ultimate overtake, which led to the result of the race itself. We had to make this move in order to make the win stick. Otherwise it would not have happened, because he is on course to be in first place at the moment. So as we come down to the last corner in Donington, about halfway through the race, we are on full throttle, he's on full throttle, and we just go really close to his rear end as we come down into the pit straight. Obviously we're just trying to hold back, we don't want another mistake, so I brake early coming into the first corner. We're on a good course for a good result once more, like our first race. But this time we can't make any mistakes, otherwise we will screw it up once again. Coming down the hill into the first sector, and we know that we're faster through this corner, carrying speed and momentum, going around the outside once more as we did with the green car. The blue car kind of shuts the door for a moment. We would come at a long slide and able to slide through and take that place, and that is the conclusion of the highlights of this race. Thank you guys for watching, and that was a very good race, but we're just going to go back to the championship points now, because we're not done just yet. If I can pick your brains for a little while longer. So here's the results table. Obviously one thing I want to show you guys is what actually happens after the race. It's very interesting. This obviously what happens, we both came first in the second race. We get bonus points for owning the fastest lap as well. Which is all well and good. It all adds to your career points and helps you actually progress further up the ranks, or when the time does come. But that is pretty much it for Donington at the moment. We are flying ahead with 68 points in the championship overall. The next contender down is Alexandro. But other than that, let's go back to the main menu and see what else we've got to show what happens after the race. So instantly you've got quite a few fans that are showing their support, and it all just seems a bit supportive really. Obviously you've got, well, sometimes working out there, 2 back-to-back wins, loving it. Another win for Over the Line. Our fans actually bloated after your win, keep it up. It was touch and go out there. That was from Project Spain, so I guess it's like another race company. So not only does it show fans' comments, it also shows maybe companies. So once again, it just adds to the immersion of the game overall. I wonder where they got all these photos from though. Do you think they just downloaded them from people's Facebook accounts and just added them to the game? I'm not really sure. In the inbox you obviously get support and recognition for your results. If it's a bad result you get like positive feedback, constructive feedback. If not, then it's just like real life. But the next race is going to be in Snetterton, which is on the 6th of May. And join us next time where we go into Snetterton Racetrack, which is round 2 of 5 of the Clio Cup UK. And I will see you around. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.